I never thought I'd recognize the sound of betrayal in the hum of a distant engine, but there it was. That familiar metallic growl pulled me out of my quiet evening, dragging my heart down the steps of the parking garage like a stone. My chest tightened as I walked toward the exit, and then I saw it. Her car, parked in a shadowed corner of the stadium lot. My wife's car. I froze. The stadium was miles away from her office. She had told me she'd be working late tonight, a late pitch for a client that she'd been stressing about all week. I had believed her, as I always did. But there it was, sitting under the harsh stadium lights, the leather seats glowing in the cold fluorescent glow. I wanted to turn and walk away, to pretend I'd imagined it, but my feet moved on their own, drawn toward a truth I wasn't ready to face. I stood there for what felt like hours, listening to the distant chants of crowd, though it was empty tonight. My mind raced. Maybe she came here for work? No, the stadium had nothing to do with her clients. Maybe she was just meeting a friend? My stomach twisted as the lies my mind tried to cling to dissolved into the bitter taste of suspicion. By the time she walked up, the small click of her heels on the concrete floor felt deafening. She saw me almost immediately. Her eyes widened, not in surprise, but in calculation. There was that flicker of hesitation, the split-second pause that betrayed a truth she had hoped I'd never catch. "Shazeb," she said, her voice carefully calm. "What are you doing here?" I couldn't speak at first. I just pointed at her car, at the evidence she had left in plain sight. Her eyes darted away for a fraction of a second, then back at me, too controlled, too polished. I'm working late," she said, repeating her excuse like a mantra, as if saying it enough times would make it true. I shook my head. At the stadium? My voice was quieter than I wanted, but it carried a weight she couldn't ignore. Her hands trembled slightly as she tried to brush past me. I can explain. I wanted to hear her. I wanted to tell me I was overreacting, that I was imagining things. But the pit in my stomach, that silent scream of my own intuition, told me the truth. I could feel it, crawling up my spine and settling in my chest. That night, I followed her, not in some dramatic movie-style chase, but with a careful, quiet patience. I watched from the shadows, my heart hammering as she disappeared into the back entrance of a small cafe tucked behind the stadium. Through the windows, I saw him, a man I didn't recognize, laughing too loudly, too comfortably, and her, leaning close, her hand brushing us across the table. Her laugh sounded different, more intimate than the warmth she ever reserved for me. I left before they could see me, each step away heavier than the last. My mind replayed our life together in rapid succession. Our wedding, the lazy Sunday mornings, the small arguments about bills, the nights I had stayed up late making her tea while she worked. How could all that mean nothing to her? The next morning, I pretended everything was normal. I didn't mention the stadium, didn't ask about her night. She gave me the same tired smile she always did, and I forced a weak one back. But inside, I was planning. Not a confrontation, not a scene, just a quiet, clever retribution. I wanted her to understand the weight of what she had done without me having to scream, without giving her the satisfaction of tears or apologies. It started small. I downloaded every photo she had ever shared on social media, every email from her phone she left logged in on my laptop. I created a folder neatly labeled Truth. I didn't touch her accounts. I didn't invade further than the remnants she had left in plain view. I wanted the facts to speak for themselves, not my rage. Then came the evening when she returned from her late work meeting. I greeted her with my usual smile and poured her a glass of wine. She sank onto the couch, exhausted. I didn't touch her glass. Instead, I pulled out my laptop and opened the folder. "This is yours," I said simply, sliding it across the coffee table. She froze, staring at the screen, then back at me. Her hands trembled, and I noticed a sudden paleness in her face. I don't know what this. I cut her off. "Do you remember the stadium last night?" My voice was calm, almost cold. "Do you remember telling me you were working late?" She looked away, swallowing hard. Stop. I didn't want excuses. I didn't want tears. I just wanted her to see the mirror she had spent months hiding behind. Everything you thought was hidden, it isn't. And now, so is everyone else's right to know. You want to keep lying, fine. But I won't be your co-conspirator anymore. She sat there, speechless, and for the first time in months, I felt a measure of control return to me, not the control over her, but over myself, over the chaos she had introduced into my life. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just let her feel the weight of what she had done, reflected back through cold, unyielding facts. Days later, I handed the folder to a mutual friend who she respected, someone she couldn't manipulate. I didn't gloat, didn't explain. I just let it be. The fallout wasn't my concern anymore. My concern was myself. My nights became quieter, my mornings less anxious. I began to reclaim the life I thought we shared, now without her shadow in it. Months have passed, and I still see the stadium when I drive past it. My heart tightens, but it's no longer panic or anger, it's memory, a lesson etched into me with sharp clarity. Trust can be broken in a single night, but dignity, patience, and quiet justice are not so easily stolen. I never confronted her again after that day. I didn't need to. The truth had its own voice, and it echoed louder than any words I could have shouted. I learned that revenge doesn't have to be violent, doesn't have to be public. It just has to be certain. And now, for the first time in a long time, I felt free.